Hi, everyone. I'm here today to tell you about someone, an African American athlete that was so popular, that was so dominant, he simply went by one name, Major. Would you believe that in 1898 crowds would have come and filled out Madison Square Garden to see what was called the Colored Cyclone or the Worcester Whirlwind compete? New York bicycle race promoters signed 19-year-old African American Marshall Major Taylor to their team because they knew crowds would flock to see Taylor perform. Major generated the same enthusiasm in 1898 that athletes like LeBron James and Stephen Curry create for basketball fans today. Major was born in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1878. He established records as a sprinter who participated in races covering a quarter of a mile to 2 miles. He is recorded as being the first African American to become a cycling champion when he won the sprint event and the 1899 World Track Championships, which was a huge deal back then. The bicycle industry and cycling community referred to him as the fastest man in America. Marshall Major Taylor was a cycling legend who set numerous records and won a major championship, all while combating racism throughout his career in the late 1800s and early 1900s. He had to cope with overt racism and prejudice throughout his life and his cycling career, sometimes being prohibited from competing in venues owned by white track owners. Major was jeered, heckled by white spectators, and banned from joining white cycling clubs. He was pulled off his bike and choked into unconsciousness in one of his races. In 1895, Taylor formed the Seesaw Club, an answer to the all-white Zig-Zag Cycling Club, which he formed in his hometown of Indianapolis. Major's early victories with the Seesaw Club convinced bicycle manufacturer Louis Munger that he should take young Major to Worcester, Massachusetts with him, where he was setting out to open a factory. Munger became a father figure to Taylor and vouched for him in the face of widespread racism. Taylor was a religious man. He was a faithful member of the John Street Baptist Church in Worcester, Massachusetts. He was invited to race in Europe, but rejected the invitations because he refused to race on Sunday. However, in 1901, he signed a contract to race in Europe and was welcomed as a hero. He was successful at defeating every European champion. Although Taylor's story has been honored in films and books, he remains relatively unknown. In his autobiography, The Fastest Bicycle Rider in the World, Taylor writes that he had no other black athletes to offer him advice and therefore had to blaze his own trail. He also speaks of the mental strain he endured in battling racism and competitive cycling, which ultimately led to his retirement in 1910 at the early age of 32, while he was at the top of his game. Despite his racing success and countless achievements, Taylor was forced into poverty in his later years and died of a heart attack in 1932. His story stands out to this day because it illustrates the overwhelming obstacles African American people often must overcome to succeed. Major was a winner on the track, and he was a winner in life, defeating racism and other riders. I hope all of you have enjoyed this and learned a little bit today about the Major.